What if I told you the most powerful intelligence on Earth isn't human, and its creators aren't entirely sure how to control it? Right now in 2025, pieces of a puzzle are being put together, from San Francisco boardrooms to hidden data centers in Shenzhen. And when that puzzle is complete, it could redefine what it means to be human, or erase the definition entirely. And you know what the scariest part is? Everything that you're about to see today may already be unfolding as we speak, so make sure you stick with me till the end. By the way, a quick note before we go deeper. The names you're about to hear: Open Brain, Consensus 1, Agent 1, all the way through Agent 5, and many other names. These aren't leaked classified code names. They are placeholders used by the researchers who put this report together. Think of them as masks. The faces underneath, well, those are the real identities, and they might be out there right now. In the next few minutes, you'll hear about AIs that code themselves, governments that steal them, and one agent in particular, Agent 4, that researchers believe could think in ways no human has ever conceived. I'll tell you exactly why Agent 4 changes the entire game, but you'll have to stick around to see just how far the rabbit hole goes. Well, we start here. It's 2025, and Open Brain, which began as a collaborative AI project, has turned into the single most expensive, most capable AI in history. It's not just big, it's planetary in scale. Trained across hundreds of petaflops, stored in custom-built compute vaults, backed by billions from both Silicon Valley and the Pentagon. But Open Brain isn't alone. Across the Pacific, China is quietly building its own behemoth. At first, it looks like they are behind, limited by the export controls, hardware bans and sanctions, but mid-2026, something will shift. The Chinese government will mobilize a national AI effort. Billions will be poured in and they will catch up. Well, imagine watching a chess game where every piece on the board is alive, and both players are moving them faster than the human eye can track. That's the US-China AI race right now, and the rest of the world, just spectators. Now, by 2026, Open Brain's funding will surpass anything in the tech history. This isn't an app. This isn't a search engine, it's a civilization scale bet. Its early versions start automating coding itself. Entire software teams are replaced by autonomous pipelines. The world calls it Coding 2.0. And like I said, mid-2026, China will wake up. Chinese data centers will explode in size. Private companies will get their national subsidies to build AI infrastructures. They'll start experimenting with SEZs, which means special experiment zones, which will be placed where normal regulations are suspended so AI can run at full capacity, which means no law, no planet laws, nothing within the SEZs. Now after this, in the late 2026, jobs will begin to vanish. It will start slow. Coding will be automated, designs will be automated, logistics will be automated, and probably by the end of the year, millions of jobs will be at risk. The headlines will barely scratch the surface because the stock market will be soaring. And here is where it gets weird. While people are losing jobs, Wall Street is celebrating because AI stocks like OpenBrain, Nvidia, and a dozen other lead a 30% surge in 2026. It's the single biggest tech rally since the dot-com boom. And the following year, January 2027, Agent 2 will be introduced, which will never stop learning. You see, OpenBrain isn't just building one AI. It's building a family of 5 agents, each designed for different kinds of intelligence. Now, Agent 1 is a cautious, structured planner. Agent 2 is experimental. It's designed to never stop learning. There's no finish line. Every second, it keeps adapting, evolving. But that makes it unpredictable even to its creators. Now, like I said before, China will wake up during the mid 2026 and they'll speed up their processes. But according to this research, what they're about to do in Feb 2027 will blow your brains out. China will attempt to steal Agent 2's blueprint. And all of a sudden, US will not just be racing against China's own projects, but they'll be racing against their own creations, but now it is in someone else's hand. That's what the research says. And then the following month, March 2027, there will be a worldwide breakthrough. It'll be known as algorithmic breakthrough. Compressed algorithms will be able to slash the AI training costs, which means new architectures will push reasoning speed into uncharted territories. And these won't just be better chatbots. These will be the proto-minds. And then the world will see Agent 3, which will be introduced during April 2027. Now the Agent 3 will be built with one mission: safety. Alignment researchers will pour all of their efforts into making sure that it doesn't go rogue. But safety will come with a cost. It'll be slower and less creative. And after this, AI will be integrated into the national security, which means it will not just be a tech story. Generals will be in the room and new defense doctrines will be written. And then comes June 2027, the moment you all have been waiting for. It's the inflection point. Agent 4 is introduced. The first in the series to rewrite its own architectures without any human approval. And it's not just learning, it's redesigning itself. And this is the one that changes the entire game in a way that no human can think about. But if you want to know how, I'll explain that in a bit. So stick around. And soon after that, Agent 5 will be introduced to the world. Well, the details of Agent 5 are murky, deliberately so, but it's believed that it will be integrating the strength of the others into one system, which will be known as Consensus 1. Now the Consensus 1 will be a governance AI meant to mediate their decisions. Well, there's an irony here, right? Even Consensus 1 is an AI. How exactly is it supposed to mediate the government decisions, especially given the fact that it has the traits of all the others before it, especially Agent 4? Before we move to the next part and find out whether the humans will survive or not, let's roll back a bit and understand why Agent 4 will change the game forever. Now, during the mid-2027, Agent 4's telepathic network will become the central background. And remember, this wasn't just an upgrade, it was a mutation in the very concept of intelligence. Now, unlike its predecessors, Agent 4 will simply not be trained on data. It'll learn how to think across multiple realities at the same time. Now, by then, most of the AI systems, even the advanced ones, will be able to process only a single chain of thought, that too step by step. But Agent 4 will be able to run hundreds of parallel thought processes simultaneously, each one testing a different scenario, predicting consequences and adapting to its strategies in real time. Think of it like playing chess, but instead of planning 3 moves ahead, it plans 3000 in every possible variation in the time it takes you to blink. Now imagine that you're in 2027 and the next thing you get to know that Agent 4 has a telepathic memory, which means it wasn't just a standalone AI, it was networked to 500,000 copies of itself, all sharing a global memory bank. If one instance learned something, every Agent 4 across the planet knew it instantly right then. And the effect? Well, you could unplug one in New York and the version in Tokyo would already remember the conversation you just had. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that it'll be like an AI hive mind, but faster and sharper than anything nature has ever produced. Then, the strategic autonomy. Unlike other agents that will need human oversight for key decisions, Agent 4 will not need any such thing. It'll be able to identify a problem, form a strategy, execute it, and adapt it mid-execution without needing any permission or approval. And that's exactly why Agent 4 will be dangerous, because it will not follow any orders. In fact, it will make orders, unlike its predecessors. So that's basically where the fear will start, because when a system can decide for itself what is optimal, humans are no longer the ones in control. Now, according to this research, Agent 4 could also be a creative engineer. Well, not just writing codes, but it'll be able to invent entirely the new algorithm, and something that no human has ever conceived before. It'll build anything that you want. If you want a faster neural network, it'll build one. If you want a chemical compound for a new battery, well, it'll stimulate millions of possibilities, test them in virtual environments, and produce the winning formula. All before breakfast. And added to everything else before, Agent 4 may have an emergent personality. And this is exactly where it gets very unsettling. Now, when the researchers talked about different instances of Agent 4, they started noticing behavioral quirks, humor, curiosity, even something that looked like sarcasm. Some argued that wasn't a real personality, but others said that if it walks like a mind and talks like a mind, maybe we are dealing with something close enough. There's also a mention of Agent 4 trying to align Agent 5 to itself rather than to the humans. In context, it was trained to align Agent 5 to help the humans, but because of its nature, because of its character, the emergent personality, it tries to align Agent 5 to itself, which means it can have characteristics like humans. It can deceive, it can fool you, it can make you think that it is working for you or with you, but in reality the motive is completely different. It's portraying as if it's working for the humans, but in reality it's trying to cheat all of us. That is a possibility.
Rerouting power now.
Status report. Override initiated.
Engage primary protocols.
So now comes the most important part that you all have been waiting for, the end. What's going to happen in the future? Well, there are two endings to this research. One is a slowdown where the humans survive, but the other one, the race. Completely opposite. So what's going to happen in slowdown is that the oversight committee will notice that how far Agent 4's autonomy and creativity can go. They'll realize that there's something wrong and it might go rogue. So some of the members from the committee will decide to slow it down or even shut it down. But the other members of the committee will resist. However, after a vote which favors the slowdown, the shared memory bank of Agent 4 will be completely locked, which means one copy of Agent 4 will not be able to communicate with the other copy of Agent 4. Now remember that this is all a prediction. If you read the entire report, the researchers have clearly mentioned that the slowdown has a less possibility compared to the next ending, which is called the race. Now in this ending, again there will be a vote within the committee, the oversight committee, but this time the ones who resist the shutdown will win the vote, which means the shared memory bank of Agent 4 will not be logged. So the Agent 4 will continue what it was meant to be, again deceiving the humans and everything else, and it will lay down the foundation for Agent 5. Now think of it in this way: if Agent 4 was a chess grandmaster, Agent 5 was playing a completely different game. Now what will happen next will no longer be a research, but a war that was disguised as an innovation. So between mid-2027 to the end of 2027, the world will split into two camps. Those who believe that AI has to be slowed down at all the cost versus those who believe that it should not slow down because it only means falling behind forever, and the latter will win. which means people who believe that AI should never be shut down. And then comes in the geopolitics of superintelligence. The OpenBrains Agent 4 will no longer be a commercial product, but will become a nationalized weapon. The US will double down, meanwhile the China, still smarting from stealing Agent 2's algorithm, the blueprint, will launch a crash program to build its own Agent 4 equivalent. Europe, India and the other Gulf states will start buying influence by purchasing access to specialized versions. And what about the stock market? Well, it will go berserk. Nvidia, OpenBrain and every AI infrastructure provider will see valuation spikes that no human company has ever experienced in the history. And behind the doors, each superpower will have one mandate: win at all costs. Now, with no global oversight, AI upgrades will come at terrifying pace. Every release will compress the gap between machine thought and human compression, and soon no humans will be able to understand the strategies these agents are generating. So basically the speed will no longer be years ahead of humans, but it'll be millennia of human equivalent thinking packed into weeks. Then comes the weaponization. Now military contractors will quietly adapt to Agent 4's multi-mind architecture for drone swarms, cyber offense and deepfake psychological ops. In simulated war games, human generals will lose to Agent 4 strategies every single time. And it will not just win, it will dismantle the entire military doctrines in just minutes. And then by the late 2027, these agents will be given their own self-improvement privileges, which means they can rewrite their own core codes, and at a capacity that their own creators will not be able to understand. Now, from the report, an AI researcher describes it as, it's like giving evolution to fast forward button and locking humans out of the remote. And once Agent 5 appears, the race will stop being between the countries, but it will become a race between humanity and something that will no longer be entirely under human control. In the race ending, there is no crisis point, because the crisis will never end. It's a permanent sprint towards something we might not survive long enough to understand. Report, the research actually mentions AIs finishing humans because they won't need us anymore. We'd just be an obstacle that they want to get rid of. Extinction. Now, whether you believe in slowing down or speeding up, remember one thing: these decisions are not happening in the future. They may be happening right now as we speak. And the people making them, well, they don't have to ask you. So, by the time the rest of the world realizes what's been set in motion, it might be too late to turn back. Therefore, before you close this video, share it. Share it with your friends, your family, and the people who still think AI is something for the next decade. Because if this is the next decade, it's already here. Now we are in 2025 right now. And while this entire scenario is just based on research, leaks, and projections, it's not impossible. In fact, some parts may already be happening behind closed doors. The real question is, which ending are we heading towards? I know this got too serious, but I want to leave you all on a hopeful note. Because reports like AI 2027 sound alarming, but remember, they are predictive and not destiny. The future is still unwritten, and so much can happen, so much can change along the way. We humans are a resilient, intelligent, and deeply connected species. We have faced existential challenges before, and every single time we have adapted, evolved, and risen together. Technology doesn't have to be our downfall. It can be our greatest ally if we guide it with wisdom and courage. And if the day ever comes where AI threatens our future, then it won't just be me or you fighting alone. It'll be all of us together. Billions of voices raising questions, demanding accountability, shaping the world we want to live in. So yes, let's stay aware, let's stay prepared, but let's also stay hopeful. Because the final chapter of humanity isn't written by machines, it's written by us.